Welcome to this episode of the Strong and Kind podcast. This episode was with Dr. Georgio Baylouny. Georgio is a friend of mine. He runs PhysioRx in Manhattan in New York City. He is a doctor of physical therapy. He's a coach. He's a business owner. And he's just a really good dude who is spreading the good word about physical rehabilitation and training and helping people see rehab and therapy differently. We also talked a lot about business and managing the stressors of business in this episode, so it's really powerful if you're somebody getting into business for yourself. We also just talked about things that we have found useful and the lessons we've learned from school, training, and running businesses. So hopefully you find it as useful and informational as I did. Thanks so much for being here. You can find Georgio at giorgio.physiorx on Instagram. You can find me at dr.dave.strengthandkindness on Instagram. If you ever need any help with injury, rehab, training, or just need to chat about potential schooling or educational resources when it comes to physical therapy or rehab in general, please reach out to me on Instagram. Thanks so much for being here. Peace. All right, Georgio Baylouny. I've known Georgio for like 4 years, and I didn't know how to say his last name. So that just tells you, the world of internet relationships. But Georgio is a mentor of mine. I'm excited to chat with him. Georgio, how are you doing on this Wednesday in
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, you are a good internet friend of mine. We've been internet friends for several years now. So the fact that you can't say my last name, I'm not offended at all. It's not important. And thank you. I didn't know I was a mentor of yours. Appreciate it.
Dude, yeah. I look up to you a lot. I think that's one of the hard things to know about like the virtual mentorship is like, I think Frank, so we a mutual mentor, a mutual person is Frank Benedetto. And I sometimes think like Frank thinks like I don't appreciate him at all. And it's like, I appreciate that guy so much, but I'm never connecting with him in person. I haven't yet, which is something I will do. But like you can kind of solidify a relationship there. Sometimes it feels like I'm like internet gaming buddies with some of these people, right? And it's different, but it's also really good. I don't think I would be where I'm at. I don't think I would be nearly as happy with my life if it weren't for people like you and Frank and John and other people.
Likewise, man.
The Honey Badger Project. So
it's a good thing.
But so I did want to start with a lot of the people that are going to listen to this are physios or rehab practitioners. I do like to get people's kind of PT school journey. So I think we're all a little bit delusional about like what PT can be when we're like 22 years old or whatever. And I had rose-colored glasses on for sure about like what actual like the real world of insurance care and was going to be like. But I want to get your take. And then we'll kind of get into your journey with starting your own business, starting PhysioRx, and what that's been about.
The PT school journey was not a pretty one. I did not get into many schools. By many, I mean I got into one. So I went there, and it was great. I mean, I think that you just make the most of it, right? With the school I went to, not many people have heard of. But that's fine. I'm actually proud of that I went to school nobody's really heard of, because you make your own path.
Yeah.
So, and newsflash, the curriculum's mostly the same everywhere. But got into the one school I got in, made the most of it, did my clinicals at the best places I could. And moved to New York City. I'm not from New York City, but moved there for my clinicals in PT school. Intentionally, I wanted to move here. Wanted to live in the city, and really never looked back. Got a very typical outpatient job for my first year, and sort of moved on from there. Had probably a pretty typical first year experience that most clinicians have.
Where are you from originally?
Rhode Island.
Okay. What made you want to be in New York City and Manhattan?
Just came here a bunch as a kid. Have some family here. So we made the trip down Route 95 several times a year, and just knew I wanted to live here. Knew I wanted to be in this action here.
When you first got into like clinical practice, what were the things that like started, maybe not red flags, yellow flag, maybe you didn't even have the flags, but like what I think most people who go into business for themselves are like, I gotta go do something else, or I gotta like figure out a way to do this differently. But what started to like ring in your head?
So first year, so the funny thing is, I always knew I wanted to start my own business, but I also could have been, I don't want to say talked into working somewhere. I think I would have worked somewhere if I came across a good organization and believed in what they were doing and believed in the leader. I just didn't. So, I was certainly open. So first year of school, very typical in-network mill. I saw a patient every 20 minutes, no aids. Think about that. So every 20 minutes, no aids, new person coming in. After 1 year, I remember I've thought about this a lot. So I have these stories in my mind. Sat down for my annual review with HR, and I brought to the table all the things I was doing, all the plans I had. And she looked at me and said, okay, here's your 3% raise. I was like, this can't be life. Like 3% raise annually doing this shit. Got what I thought appeared to be a dream job after that. One-on-one, probably like the sexiest clinic in New York City I've ever seen. Worked there, ended up working my way up to being like the top guy, like the director. Made a lot of money for a PT, 6 figures, which as a PT is a lot of money, especially like 6, 7, 8 years ago. But it was stressful, man. I didn't really believe in the way the business was being run. I didn't believe in what was being pushed on me and what I had to do. I didn't like the way they treated everybody, they treated the staff, like the way I had to be like this bad guy because of like, quote, higher ups. So that's when I said, you know what? I need to just go and do my own thing. And I started PhysioRx because I truly believed that we did not have to compromise on good quality care for people. And we didn't have to compromise on creating good jobs for people. So that's always been my dual mission, is to change the perception of physical therapy to the public and create good jobs for good PTs, for good clinicians. And that's what I've been trying to do for the last 7 years.
When me and you have talked about this quite a bit, because I think the perception of like good physical therapy, like we still talk to it. Like there's still people out there going and they're getting, and the tricky thing I go back and forth is like I actually have a lady that comes and does like a little group strength with 3 other women or 4 other women once a week. I'm trying to like kind of just get in with a few people, and it's fun. She goes to a PT because she has had like sciatica for a while, and she likes the PT a lot. When I ask her, and she's been doing this lifting with me for a while, and she's liking it a lot, and it's helping, and she almost kind of can't discern what's like working, right? And in general, like it's probably that you're doing more activity, you're getting stronger, whatever you're doing at the PT is at least probably not a negative thing. But it's still like not great PT in my brain, right? And it is always kind of, we finish with like the E-stem machine or something like that, which again, it is what it is. But like, I'm always asking myself, like, how do I change the perception of like what good physical therapy or good rehab is? And not make, I also saw this yesterday. Nobody wants to go to PT. Like it was like literally another PT's post. Nobody ever wants to go to physical therapy. I'm like, yeah, that is kind of true. We are kind of working. Like nobody wants to be injured, right? Nobody wants to be in pain. But like, what is it that you saw early on? They're like, all right, I don't agree with this. I want to change it. Like, and what were those like kind of the cornerstones of you making your own business? That's better?
So clinically, there were really 2 different experiences I had. Two different jobs, 2 very different experiences. One, the clinical aspect wasn't great. And the second, the people aspect wasn't great, right? So in a way, I'm grateful for those 2 because I could figure out what I didn't like in both those 2 and create my own thing. So clinically, my bullshit radar was strong. I'm proud of that. I think my BS radar was always very strong, even early on as a new grad. And mind you, this was 10 10 years ago, I've been a PT 10 years, which is weird to say, I feel old. There was no like clinical athlete. There was no, there was no online mentorships the way there are now. So like you only learn from the people who are literally around you. And we'd have these in-services and they'd be like, Georgio, do you want to feel the L4 vertebrae? Do you feel that? I'd be like, no, I don't want to. I don't believe you. This is nonsense, right? So I knew there was more out there. I didn't know where to find it. So I actually ended up doing an orthopedic residency, which at the time was ahead of its time. It was actually a hybrid residency where I would go to Philadelphia. I'd go to Temple University 6 weekends a year and do everything else online, which was awesome. Like leveled up my clinical reasoning, leveled up my interview skills, all that. Very grateful to the group at Temple. So I knew like, wow, most of the profession is not operating at this level. This like biopsychosocial clinician, client, or like patient-centered, client-centered level that does not make them reliant on manual therapy. It's like, man, we have to like, I have to spread that. I have to practice this way and like make sure people around me are. So that was one moment. And then the place, the other place I worked, it was like, I had much more autonomy in how I wanted to treat to a degree. So like no one would make me do anything. And it was one-on-one. But just like the way staff was treated, insane productivity requirements, people getting fired for stuff. It was wild. So I figured we got to marry these two, the good out of the two here, and create something. So that it was really just wasn't a moment. It was like more of several moments coming together.
Yeah. So then when you went in, you made the jump to going into business for yourself. Like, was there a no turning back? Like, I always had that inkling too of like, I actually went to PT school. I had been a trainer before I went to PT school. I'd worked in a hospital. I actually applied to medical school, didn't get in, which was like a godsend because it just, you connect the dots looking backward type of thing. PT, it was an alignment with like, I believe in an active approach to health, hopefully, right? I believe that people should and can be proactive. And then I also think that a lot of things that start the cascade of like bad health outcomes are just physical in nature. People stop doing stuff because they think they're getting old, or they have a hip problem, or they have a knee problem, or they just look at their body like, I can't change it. And I think that's like a really tough thing to overcome, but I think at least we can be part of it, right? But like for you, so my point there was like, I had this inclination, but then I met my wife in school and we went and got safe jobs, and then 2020 happened, and it's like finally what kicked me is like I was so mentally low and burnt out from not basically doing PT the way I wanted to, that I'm like, all right, you got to jump in and you got to figure out your own path here, right? But like, was there a turning point? Was there like, I'm not looking back type of moment, or was it just, yeah, I gotta test this out for myself and see where it goes?
Yeah, no, I knew there was no turning back. That definitely wasn't an option because I knew it was possible. I have this borderline, I don't want to say unhealthy, but like unreasonable belief in myself. So I knew there's no turning back. I was going to make it work. I've made everything work to a degree, right? And we'll get philosophical with you, Dave. Like what even is making it work? Like, yeah. How do we define success, right? So there was no turning back, right? Was it smooth sailing? No. I took several odd jobs over the course of a year plus probably to be able to make ends meet. I found these jobs that were very transactional, clock in, clock out, PT work, where as long as I was a living, breathing body with a PT license, they didn't give a shit. I could go see 25. So like Tuesday, Thursday, I'd go to this place and see like 25 patients a day, make some money, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, build my thing, right? So it wasn't like immediate, this took off. It definitely took a lot of work, and I would gradually cut down on that side work, when PhysioRx would build up.
Do you think I think so much of what I think people's perception, even when we like see people kind of coming through like a mentorship, like cause it's funny, cause I think more people need to know that like a lot of people had to go do something like that,
Yeah.
right? And it's okay. Like, I think so many people in our field would be like, if you want to build like a training business or a virtual business, like maybe you should go work at Costco or somewhere where you can just like punch in and punch out with a little bit of security, and not, because I think people get bogged down in like the clinical bull stuff, and it is taking care of humans and writing all the notes and so that, like, it's stressful. And then you also have this layer of like people care a lot. Like, I got to be good at my job. And it's like maybe you need to like either do what you did and like disconnect from like I have to be the best person at like literally doing this job that they just need me to show up and be kind for, be there. Maybe you should just go get a job that like you can then come home and focus on, right? The thing you want to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Costco of PT, maybe. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, maybe that's
like,
that's
I where I worked was, yeah, like a mill that they didn't really care. And like the owner of that mill knew he didn't have aspirations for me to like rise up in the store. He was like, okay, cool, Tuesday, Thursday, 10 hours, perfect, great. And that was it.
Yeah, and it's so like I think that's the other thing. It's like there is so much of this black and white thinking about like I got to be the best at everything. It's like no, like just do what you need to do to get where you actually want to go sometimes, and like but don't sacrifice your character or anything like that, right?
Right.
But so when you started your own, you fill in the blank here, but you started your own business, and it was just you. You had personal trainers around you. Did you rent out a space in like a group area?
Yeah.
Like the thing that always goes through my mind with a lot of people when it's like that type of situation, it's like, am I a trainer? Am I a coach? I frankly don't give a shit, because really what I care about is helping the person. I just think there's way more overlap to all this stuff, and I think most of it boils down to being a really good communicator, and just helping people. But like, was there intimidation in your brain? Was there any sort of competition, and how did you overcome that if there was? Explain that to everyone.
I think more people need to hear your last point, where it's not smooth sailing right off the bat. It certainly wasn't, especially anyone who's listening who might know me. They may think I'm this like stoic, fearless robot with that. Like, no, it was hard early on. And yeah, it was intimidating. Yeah, it was hard knocking on these like 20 gym doors saying, hey, can I work out of this place? And like getting my door slammed in 19 of them, or even joining one and realizing I didn't really fit in there and leaving it. It was not, smooth sailing early on. It wasn't like hockey puck growth the minute I launched it. It absolutely not. So yeah, I went out into the fitness world. New York City's a bit of a different animal, where there are gyms that exist just to rent out to trainers. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of that concept here. So worked out at one of them, rented it out hourly, eventually monthly once I built up and ran my business. I started my business with a folding table in the corner of some wide open gym. That was it. A folding table in the corner of a gym, paid hourly to be there, and just saw my clients out of it. And it was cool. It was a blessing to leave the physical therapy world. We have such a closed way of thinking as physical therapists. Like, that's my patient. That's my, I can only be the PT. I can be the only PT in this area. Like, living amongst the trainers, as I say, like, think about it for a minute. They're all trainers running their own business in this under one roof, and there's no competition. Like, why couldn't we be like that? Like, why do I need to be the only? They're not the only trainer in New York. Like, why do I need to be the only PT on this block? Or like, so living amongst them was actually good, because they're not in their own head. They're probably better at sales and buy-in than we are at first. They have no problem quote selling cash. Being amongst them was actually really nice to get out of like the PT group think.
Yeah. The PT group think, it can be, oh man, it is wild. I think we almost have like a chip on our shoulders as a profession. I think it's probably universal. Like it doesn't just extend. It's just the world we're in. But it's like we're not doing surgeries, we're not putting out medication, so it's like, where do we fit in? And then it leaves a lot of people looking for like some form of specialty or gimmick or thing where they can be the best in. And it's like, you really just need to be good. You just need to be good with people. Like, you need to be good at being clear, which we've both, I know, like probably worked on tremendously. But also, yeah, like that was one of the big things about being in a gym, being a trainer prior to being a PT, was just like, it's mostly just like, did that person get what they wanted out of that session? And are we getting them where they want to go in this overarching experience? And honestly, did I not scare them, but like inform them enough to be like, yeah, this is something we got to actually work on, or you're just going to keep running into the same roadblock, right? You mentioned something in there that was like really profound when it comes to like, yeah, these are all trainers. Like they're all just trying to make people like fitter or stronger. And really, like, I think you do a good job of this. It's like, it doesn't matter what like we care about per se. It's like, what do they want? And how do we help them achieve it? And then that's why they're going to keep working with us, right? And just like trusting your value and trusting that like you can help them take a next simple action is really profound as well, right? And a lot of people, which that kind of takes me to this, because this is a little bit of a different segue, because you worked with a guy who's like that guy is a material. I can't remember his name. We don't have to drop his name, but he's just like a no bullshit type of nutrition and personal trainer guy. And that's kind of where my head goes too. Like, the dude just says it. He just says the truth, basically. It's like, take responsibility for yourself, take action. And why was that type of messaging so appealing to you? And how are also you utilizing some of that maybe in your own business? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've always, okay, so I hired a nutrition coach who was like a no nonsense type of guy, where he's not going to talk to you about your feelings and stuff like that. I mean, he did,
yeah.
like in his own way,
yeah.
But it wouldn't be effective for most people, but it was effective for me. I lost a lot of weight, I got in shape. And I think that messaging resonated with me. It's who he works with. He works with entrepreneurs. He works with, people who want to push, leaders, people who push themselves, right? So like, he's going to attract certain people, which is a different conversation. But I mean, that messaging resonated with me, and I've always have one to take extreme ownership. There's no victimhood mentality here. I caught myself falling into that once in life and snapped out of it, luckily. And I utilize that in my business, obviously personally, to grow. I try to instill ownership in all my team. Hey, who owns what? Who dropped the ball? Where can we be better as a team? We do take extreme ownership. We do put fate into our own hands as much as we can. And that's just very important principle with me personally, and here like with my team as well. Now, we're not drill sergeants to clients. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. That does not work. That does not work for 95% of people. Everyone says, oh, I like hard coaching, but I don't know if they really do. I think you just have to meet people where they're at. You just absolutely have to meet people where they're at. See what messaging they're ready to hear. You can't come in with a wrecking ball, shattering all their firmly held beliefs, because that will backfire. There's an art to this thing, right? So with clients, got to meet them where you're at, but hopefully move them towards taking ownership the same way you have, the same way we have. So that's the goal.
When it comes to like creating a culture, so you went from yourself to bringing on staff, building out more team. Did you have an intent? I mean, I'm assuming you had an intentionality, but what were like some of the things? I think culture is king when it comes to business, right? I think culture is king when it comes to a lot of things. But what were your intentions? And maybe was it because of the things that you saw that you didn't like early on that reshaped those things or shaped those things for you?
Yep, 100%. So started the business by myself, table in the corner of a gym. Now we're 2 locations, 4 PTs, 2 trainers, and 4 online PTs and nutritionists. So we're at 14 or 15 of us, and an ops person of 15 or so. So yes, it was mostly shaped by all the things I saw wrong. And I knew I did not want to be like that. But I also knew deep down, I think we all know deep down how people like to be treated and what's important to them. Right? So we know that people like to be involved in decisions. We know people like to be respected. We know people don't like to be told what to do without an explanation. We also know that having a strong mission and believing in something will attract your army as well, will attract your people as well. So I think it's a combination of like, hey, we know that we stand for something here. We're fighting against a common bad, a common enemy, right? Which in our case is misinformation in healthcare, confusion in fitness, lack of individualized care. And really, we're here to combat all the confusion out in the world, make it simple for people. We're fighting a common mission which attracts good people, but also be human, be nice to your people. Don't, involve them in decisions, create growth paths for them, and things will keep growing here. And I do believe that, I don't know who said this, but you take care of your team first and then you take care of the clients. I think that's very true. And it's something that we have here in our culture as well.
What big mistakes have you made along the way that have been very impactful for you, if any?
Man, big mistakes.
Or small mistakes that...
I think I don't think there was any like earth-shattering mistakes, but lots of little, I call them my dumb ideas. Mm-hmm. And I think that we all need to go out and have more dumb ideas. My business was built on bouncing back from a bunch of little dumb ideas that eventually became like you just refine what you're doing.
Yeah.
Mistakes I've made with the team have been like being too cool of the boss. I think I overcompensated earlier from working for a crazy person, being too cool, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to be too cool and like let people get away with stuff. You want to tighten things up, give autonomy, teach principles, have a general sense of where we're going. Mistakes with clients was like taking on anybody, anybody who maybe wouldn't be a good fit. And I have cases in mind that I'll never forget on, that clients I should have referred out, not taken on. There's mistakes there. I've also had a lot of dumb failures and ideas that, again, I'm so grateful for. And I think anyone listening who is an entrepreneur, go out and just try stuff. Like build your mountain of dumb ideas to force you to get better and refine. That's how you grow, right? So a bunch of little mistakes that I could probably talk another hour about that I'm proud of, that I think are a good thing.
I think the lesson, I have it somewhere. It's like, it's very easy, especially with people. Like we have quote unquote advanced degrees. Like, me and you, we can start getting into this. I'm a smart dumbass. Like, I kind of sometimes need to lean into the just be a little bit dumb. I really do believe that like it's not being dumb. I call it like the Marshawn Lynch effect. You remember Marshawn Lynch? Like beast mode. Like the dude was eating Skittles on the sidelines, and like me growing up, I was I now realize like, oh dude, that's anxiety. But like I overthought so many things as a kid, and it's kind of like a safety mechanism. It's kind of like trying to get cute, trying to be like funny or whatever to fit in. And it wasn't like a bad strategy until it kind of isn't. And a lot of like business and a lot of life is actually just like getting out of your head and doing something and then learning from it, as opposed to, and I was even talking, I've been talking to Georgio about this. I've been talking to some of my other mentors. It's like, I've realized that I've fallen back into the pattern of trying to plan out everything so that I don't have any of the pain that like is almost necessary to get where you want to go. Like there's going to be struggle and pain because that's the stuff that is actually teaching you. Exactly. Oh, okay, this is how this works. What a lot of people do, and what I've found myself since having, and again, I had a kid like a year ago. Like I'm proud of the fact that like had a kid, kept my business rolling. My wife got back to work. We are really enjoying our life. Like, I'm proud of those things, but I have fallen back into the pattern of like, oh, dude, you're not trying new stuff because you're like almost a little bit complacent, right? And the thing to do is to accept that you're going to do some dumb stuff as you're learning, and that's okay.
100%.
When it comes to like where you want to go now, the importance of like a vision, I think sometimes we get into like, business stuff gets really, really cliche because like everybody in the business world just latches on to concepts. But when it comes to like business, what have been some of the things, mindset, and like both action and mindset that you would say are like critical? You were actually talking to me yesterday just about like forecasting and having a vision for the space that I might be looking at, right? But give me a few of those things that have really been impactful for you and that you would recommend for other people who are going into business.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people lack, I don't want to say direction. They don't have a North Star. Like they don't know what they're aiming for. And you should have something to anchor to that should be your North Star, and you put your decisions through that lens. Is this aligned with that or not? It'll become clearer the more you go through trying stuff, and it's okay to change direction, of course, as well. But when you have a goal, it becomes very easy. When you have a goal, you have a mission, it becomes very easy to determine, does this action on the table, is that going to get me closer to it or not? It becomes a very easy yes or no. So I think that's number one, right? Have a mission of where you want to go. Have a personal mission. Like my personal mission is to, like I said earlier, change the perception of physical therapy in my local community, like through New York City for now, and create really good jobs because I care about my profession. I want to create really good jobs for physical therapists where they don't burn out. And by the way, trainers, it's hard to have a career as a trainer as well. I want to create careers for people. I want to create careers for trainers and PTs. So that's my mission. And I think it's my duty to spread that mission through New York City. Right? If I believe in that, why wouldn't I want to continue to spread that?
Yeah. That like takes me, so I mean, the true definition of passion is actually like something you're willing to suffer for, right? So you in the past 10 years have probably been subjected to quite a bit of stress as you have gone about your own personal, professional journeys here. But how have you navigated that stress? What have been some of the things that have been helpful? Have there been times, I have a really good buddy who like, he started his own practice, great guy. But like, he's like, a few years ago, I realized like I'm turning into an alcoholic and this is not a good way to deal with this stress. Right. And so he's like, I went to therapy, quit drinking, got back to the gym, and I'm like, I didn't realize how much of a vicious cycle like work could get in. But he was also like, I also felt the most at ease when I was working, which was like terrible because I would go home and my brain would still be at work or XYZ. And I'm like, yeah, that's a tough trap. I think that's a big struggle for a lot of people. But what have your takeaways on just navigating stress? How do you do it? What keeps you slightly sane, or however you want to look at it?
Right. I don't have like an immediate outlet. It's not like I don't have like I could go into this COVID story, which was a very depressing time for me when I had a newborn locked in my 600 square foot apartment in the epicenter of the pandemic while my business was falling apart and my bank account was dwindling every 2 weeks. That was a pretty dark time, which is hopefully, knock on wood, once in a lifetime. Outside of that, I think it's, even though I just talked about having this grand mission, it doesn't mean you put pressure on yourself to get it, right? That's more of like your North Star. You're just want to stay directionally correct with that, but you have to keep yourself grounded and have boundaries. I just try to take it one day at a time. Was the day a +1, a 0, or a -1? Can I stack up more +1s and 0s, right? And just try to win the day, have boundaries, having kids changes your life. So I have 2 kids, and being present with them is more important than anything come, dinner time and nighttime and in the morning. And it took practice. It takes practice and discipline to not check email and Slack at 6:32 a.m. Not check if you had any inquiries overnight at 6:45 at the breakfast table. when the emails come piling in with problems. It takes discipline to not have your phone while your kid's eating cereal. So a lot of practice and discipline. Again, this is not something I turned on robotically. Boundaries, discipline, knowing what's important to you, and just trying to win one day at a time.
Yeah, I love all those things. I think the thing we both probably see is like people like, well, I implemented the system, quote unquote, but the system isn't working. It's like, well, you actually have to practice the system. Like you have to like shut your phone off at 6 o'clock at night. You have to not actually, engage in email whenever. Like it's so much of our life. Like it just, the friction between us and work can be so minimal that you have to create more friction between it. Just like the friction between us and food can be so minimal at this stage in our current junction. It's like you got to create more friction in that. And it's honestly like, it's conscious effort until it becomes more of just your patterns, right? Even with...
You're going to catch yourself too. You're going to catch yourself slipping.
Yeah.
And the important thing is that you catch it and that you just course correct.
Yeah. And I mean, and even then it's like, like having a little kid, it's like I see the content that's like, oh, you're on your phone as a dad. I'm like, yeah, sometimes I'm gonna be on my phone as a dad. Like it's like I want to be present with that kid as much as possible, and when I'm actively playing with them. But like, there is just this reality of like, everybody is spewing out this image of perfection and how you should conduct yourself, and like it's usually in the middle. Like don't be a giant piece of shit, right? And you're not gonna be perfect, right? How has being a dad helped you in business, and how has business helped you be a dad, if at all? Great
question. There is no better filter for what's important and what's not than having a kid. You will, because guess what? Anyone out there who's going to be a parent, dad, moms have it worse than us, Dave, let's be honest. The kid's 100%. More attached, right? If you think you have free time now, or you think you're busy now, you're not. You think you're productive now, you're not. You have a kid, you quickly become more productive. Like that saying, give a busy person something to do, they'll get it done, right? You have kids, now you're busy. Yeah. Now you're more scheduled. Now you're more disciplined. Now you have the biggest filter, strongest filter ever of like what's important to be in my face and what's not. So that's been a blessing. And something else to tell myself is, or say to myself is like, man, if I had this level of discipline, BS filter, structure, I'd be a multimillionaire by now. But I didn't have it early on. Well, I had it when I had kids. I got it when I had kids.
I think about this so much, man. I would go to the gym for like 3 hours at like 19 years old. And like, and it wasn't bad or good, but it's like, dude, like that workout needed to take 45 minutes. And then you're like, oh, I'm so busy. Like we kind of get into this like bullshit idea, like I'm so busy. Then real life hits. A PT school, again, PT school was hard, but and I wasn't the best student, mostly because I would still go to the gym and I would still like play sports with my buddies. And like, I learned what I needed to, and I had good clinicals, but I'm like, oh man, it's busy. And then I think what did help me is like, I had already been working like 40+ hour a week jobs going into PT school, and I could kind of compartmentalize some of that stuff. But yeah, then it's like, you get out of that, and then you get into real life, and then it's like you start to see, oh, if I don't prioritize, like if I don't put my gym bag out the night before, and I don't say I'm going to go to the gym at 6 a.m. or I'm going to go to gym right after work, that free time, it erodes, right? The kid is like the ultimate schedule your shit or you're not going to do anything you want to do.
The ultimate productivity hack.
Yes. And I think, I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of people just struggle. I'm not going to say, again, this is where the extreme ownership comes into play. A lot of people bullshit themselves when it's like, you could get a 30-minute workout in. You could read 10 pages a day. Like, yes, is it going to be exactly when you want it to be? Or is it going to be that where you had that 45 minutes of open routine where you'd spend 20 minutes dicking around? No. And that's actually sweet. Like, it's actually great, right? So, yeah, and then, when we get to multiple kids, everybody's situation is different. But it's just that willingness to that willingness to suck a little bit, right? And feel a little bit bad about yourself, because that's a big piece of it. Like, oh shit, I screwed that up. But you're not going to be good at everything. You don't need to be. And then, yeah, figure out your priorities. It's really made it clear, like, okay, priorities, my wife, my kid, my physical health, and my health. And then a lot of other shit that, like, kind of, in business probably, right? Even there. And it's still those levels. Like, business is actually better for me when those other things are the first, because then I'm not worrying about any of those things, and I can actually focus on what I need to do, right? So yeah, that's my rant. But when it comes to, okay, we're gonna get into some men humor and why we love absurdist Tim Robinson clips. This is a lot of mine and Giorgio's relationships, as I just send Giorgio, I think you should leave memes or reels. What is it about that type of humor that is so appealing to you, Giorgio?
I have a theory that if you think Tim Robinson's humor and I Think You Should Leave is funny, you have superior intelligence. I think you get the humor within the humor. Like, that's my theory. And I think everyone who likes Tim Robinson is very smart.
Who
is it about me? I don't know. I'm actually a very ridiculous person. I do not take myself very seriously. One of our actually, like, something I tell new team members here at PhysioRx is, and their onboarding, is we don't take ourselves very seriously, but we take what we do very seriously. I think there's a difference. So, like, I'm a pretty ridiculous person. What is it about it that I think is, I don't know. I just know that smart people like it.
What's funny to me is, like, so, I mean, again, me and Giorgio have gone back and forth. Giorgio has been a mentor of mine for 4+ years now, almost 5, in some capacity. I've never really seen Giorgio be ridiculous, other than, like, I have joked about if Giorgio is hiring. I live in Iowa. Giorgio lives in Manhattan. I often ask Giorgio inappropriate. They're not really inappropriate. Like, one of my favorite things to do is, like, insert stuff into quasi inappropriate times. Like, I just love that. Like, not absurd. I bet some people think it's annoying, but, like, most of the time, I think if I have a gift for anything when it comes to comedy, it is timing of things, or, like, when it dropped, right? But yeah, I've never like seen you be ridiculous, but that's also, I don't know you in person. But I also think, like, don't take yourself so seriously. Growing up, when I played sports, it was the coaches who were they took themselves so seriously, and they didn't allow, like, themselves to be seen as, like, not a dictator, right? And I mean, these are guys coaching high school soccer, right? Those guys sucked. And it was my coaches who, like, yes, I am your coach. If you dick off, I am going to punish you, right? But I'm also going to have fun. Like, we are going to joke around. I'm going to give you some shit. You can give me some shit back. But I'm still your coach. And if you cross a line, I'm going to let you know, right? Those were the guys that I looked up to. Those were the people, those were the coaches, those were the teachers I looked up to. And I think it gave me an appreciation for, like, yeah, like, the absurdity of something like Tim Robinson, right?
Your shirt, by the way, I just realized there's very complicated patterns on it.
I know.
If anyone is
Dan Flashes.
Audio only, Dave's shirt is very complicated. Must have been very expensive due to the complicated patterns.
Shops at the Creek.
Yeah.
Dan Flashes. They know exactly. They have exactly my style of shirt. Yeah. I mean, it's so absurd. And honestly, does your wife get it at all?
No, and no.
That's the other pattern, is that if one member of a partnership gets it, the other has no freaking clue. Like, this isn't maybe other than, like, the zip line. Kind of everybody thinks the zip line's funny. Like, there's little pieces of it, right?
I think
but,
the
like,
zip line's funny because it, the dating.
Yes,
the Bachelorette shows.
It's just like the punchlines, the I'm joking, that type of stuff. I used to be a piece of shit. Like, that type of stuff goes a long way for somebody like me. So, Giorgio, I want to respect your time. I know you got kids to go pick up. Where do people find you?
Instagram would probably be easiest. Giorgio.PhysioRx.
And
Or you can
people
check out the company,
PhysioRx.
www.physiorx.nyc, if you're
I love
interested
it.
in what we're doing.
What's big on the agenda for 2026?
Just open a new location, get it busy. The mission stays the same. Grow in Manhattan and Brooklyn, create more good jobs for people. Nothing's changing. Still on the mission.
I appreciate it. Good stuff. Everybody follow Georgio on Instagram. Please reach out to him if you're really anywhere. That's one of the things, somebody like Georgio, if you're a PT student, I don't want to just give away Georgio's time, but, reach out to Georgio if you ever have questions, because he's a good person to talk to in the realm of physical therapy, starting your own business, just a good voice when it comes to those things. So, Georgio, appreciate you a ton. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Later.
Peace.